Okay, Frank, will God send anybody to hell just because they don't believe in Jesus?
You don't go to hell just because you don't believe in Jesus. You go to hell because you've sinned. It would be like saying you die because you didn't go to the doctor. No, you don't die because you didn't go to the doctor. You die because you have a disease. Now, you might be able to prevent dying by going to the doctor, and you certainly can prevent eternal death by going to the great physician. But you don't go to hell just because you don't believe in Jesus. You go to hell because you've sinned. Now, you can obviously, as I say, prevent that by going to Christ, who has paid for our salvation. But let me give make the objection a little bit stronger. I had an atheist I debated once by the name of Eddie Tabash, a man who was a attorney in Beverly Hills, California, an atheist who, during our interaction during the debate, he said, my mother was a survivor of the Holocaust. She lived a terrible life. She had a lot of suffering. She escaped the concentration camp. Later on in her life, somebody offered her the gospel, and she rejected it. Is she in hell right now? Wow, that's a tough question. I said, Eddie, I don't know where your mother is right now. I don't know if she had a deathbed conversion or not. But if she didn't, then God won't force her into heaven against her will. You see, the assumption behind the question is that everybody wants to go to heaven. That's not true. If people don't want Jesus now, they're not going to want him in eternity. You see, heaven is where Jesus is, and people are running from him here. They don't want to see him in heaven. They don't want to be in his presence forever. So God doesn't force himself upon them. In fact, I asked the audience that night, I asked particularly the ladies, I said, ladies, have you ever had a man pursue you whom you did not want to date? And all the ladies are going, they're looking around going, oh, well, of course. Meanwhile, the men are looking at their shoes. They're going, is she looking at me? In fact, I had this lady in the back of the audience. She yelled out, she said, yes! I said, is he sitting right next to you right now? In any event, I said, look, now suppose this man pursues you, and he keeps asking you out, and you finally get to the point where you say, look, I like you, but only as a friend, right? They completed the sentence. And I said, well, ladies, why don't you just stick the knife in and turn it, right? Every man has heard this. I like you, but only as a friend. Well, suppose he continues to pursue. He gets to the point where he says, look, I love you so much, I'm going to force you to love me. Can he do that? No, love by definition must be freely given. It can't be forced. Even though God is all-powerful, he can't do a contradictory thing, like force a free creature to love him. So I said to the audience that night, I said, ladies, if this man truly did love you, what would he do? And they all said, he would leave me alone. Well, that's exactly what God does for us. He sends us cards, letters, and flowers. He tries to woo us. And if we keep saying, no, Lord, I don't want you, he ultimately gives us up to our own desire. As C.S. Lewis said so well, he said, there's only two kinds of people in the end. Those who say to God, thy will be done, and those to whom God says, thy will be done. Ultimately, if there is an afterlife, there's only two possible locations. You're either going to be with God or you're going to be separated from God. Being with God is to be in heaven. To be separated from God is to be in hell. So, no, you don't go to hell just because you don't believe in Jesus. You go to hell because you've sinned, and if you don't want Jesus, he's not going to force himself on you.